Hey guys, it's Mr. Thibodeau here. So I'm going to jump into a video for you. So first off, got a little joke. In the wizarding world, rappers would be the hardest to battle. Imagine how fast they could cast multiple spells. There's only one man that Voldemort fears, Harry. Dumbledore seemed fearful himself to even speak his name. Busta Rhymes. Anyway, so what we're doing today is a little different. So we're doing this Ed puzzle. We're going to go over some figurative language. I'm going to have you read a poem and kind of ask a question, and then I'm going to give you guys a prompt. Then there's going to be a second Ed puzzle in which we learn more about that same poem, and I'm going to ask you some more questions, okay? So first off, and like leaves before a new hurricane, they tumbled upon each other and ran. What type of figurative language is this? Okay. And like leaves before a new hurricane, they tumbled upon each other and ran. The door slid back, and the smell of the silent, waiting world came into them. All right, so again, what type of figurative language is this? The door slid back, and the smell of the silent, waiting world came back into them. There's two here, actually, you could use. I would accept either. She was an old photograph, dusted from an album, whitened away. So what type of figurative language is this? She was a very frail girl who looked as if she had been lost in the rain for years. Okay. A boom of thunder startled them. The sweet sounds of summer. All right, so now we're going to switch over to this poem, The Rose That Grew from Concrete. Did you hear about the rose that grew from a crack in the concrete? Proving nature's law is wrong. It learned to walk without having feet. Funny it seems, but by keeping its dreams, it learned to breathe fresh air. Long live the rose that grew from concrete when no one else ever cared. Okay. So we're going to do a few different things with this poem. The first off, what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to go ahead and write in a separate sort of activity. Did you hear about the road? I want you guys to figure out, what is the concrete in your life? What sort of struggles have you faced? Okay. I want you to think about that. Okay. And what you're going to do with that is you're going to take this and you're going to create your own little poem or your own little story about it. Okay. So first off, the second question to help you get ready for this is, how are you going to get past your concrete? Or how have you already gotten past it? Okay. Disregard this writer's handbook stuff. This is something I'm taking from a different part. What I do want you to do, though, is write a short story using at least 2 types of figurative language. And by short story, I'm looking for less than 500 words, okay? So about 2 paragraphs. You can do this as a poem instead if you'd like. The word count will be different, okay? You don't have to do nearly 500 words if you're doing it as a poem. But I want you to think about something you've overcome, okay? Also disregard this Kahoot stuff, okay? But I want you to be working on that. This is my example. This is not a poem so much, but this is some of the concrete I grew up past. So I was just 20 years old when my dad died. I was away at college, about to go to a dance with the girl I liked, when my phone rang. My mom was on the other end. She wasn't crying, but her voice was so full of emotion, like a glass of soda, fizz bubbling up to the top, not quite dripping down the sides, but popping and fizzing in every word, every breath. The news hit me like a water balloon, one of the ones that doesn't break right away. It hits and it hurts for a moment, a dull slap in the face, but it doesn't pop. And you keep expecting that rush of wetness that just doesn't come. I went to the dance. I tried not to think about it. I tried not to tell her. I tried not to acknowledge the awful truth that I had seen my father for the last time. And then the water balloon finally popped, and my tears ran down my face in the middle of my date. So that's my example. It's a little poetic, of course, because when you are required to use figurative language, it's going to become a little poetic. You can make it more like a poem. You can make it less like a poem. It's up to you. Okay. I also want you guys to go ahead and ask, what are 2 types of figurative language that I used? Okay. So give 2 examples. There's far more than 2 in here, but just 2 examples that you can think about. Okay. And then now you're going to go back to Google Classroom and you are going to write about your concrete. Okay. So you are going to you're going to write using 2 types of figurative language your own about your own concrete. Okay. Have a good one, my dudes.